Tuesday, August 29th, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I'd like to talk specifically about all the ICOs in the cryptocurrency space and what I think it means. First of all, I want to give you my background for those of you who don't know, my background. I worked in finance from around 1988 to 2012. I started out in Switzerland at a small private bank for about 3 years. And then I moved to London. I worked as a futures and options broker for 20 years until 2012. I worked for major brokerage houses and banks. Citibank, ABN AMRO. I worked for Men Financial, which became MF Global. I did leave MF Global before they collapsed with under the leadership of John Corzine. My clients as a futures and options broker were institutional clients like the big banks, fund managers, hedge funds, corporates like treasuries. And I covered mostly fixed income markets, bond futures, interest rate futures. I did do commodity futures, stock indices. But yeah, my specialization was futures and options. So the reason I'm talking about that is because I think a lot of these ICOs are like out of the money calls, basically purely speculative. And what are out of the money calls? Well, basically it gives you an option to buy a certain security, or let's say a token or a crypto coin or a commodity at a certain price higher than, where we are right now. For example, you could buy a $2,000 call on the price of gold for the next, for a term of 2 years. And you pay a certain amount. And if gold doesn't get there in 2 years, you lose that money. That's the premium you pay. So it's kind of like an insurance. But let's say if gold, next week for some reason or in a month's time shoots up to 2,000 and you still have about 2 years left, that option, that premium is going to go through the roof, because not only have you reached the strike price, which is 2,000, but you've got a lot of time. So before I go on, though, I'd like to talk about the blockchain. There's a lot of talk about that because that's what the cryptocurrencies are all about. I'm a markets guy. I've been following Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies for quite a few years. I think around 2011, 2012. But I don't pretend to be an expert in how to mine this stuff, how to understand the cryptology and how, the coins are like created. But I have a general idea, but I want to read here from Wikipedia. It says, to many of you who probably don't know, it says a blockchain, originally blockchain, is a continuously growing list of records called blocks, which are linked and secured using cryptography. Each block contains typically a hash pointer as a link to a previous block, a timestamp, and a transaction data. And it says, by design, blockchains are inherently resistant to modification of the data. Functionally, a blockchain can serve as an open distributed ledger that can record transactions between two parties efficiently and in a verifiable and permanent way. For use as a distributed ledger, a blockchain is typically managed by a peer-to-peer network, collectively adhering to a protocol for validating new blocks. So, and it goes on to say the first distributed blockchain was conceptualized by Satoshi Nakamoto, who we don't know who he is, in 2008, and implemented the following year as a core component of the digital currency Bitcoin, where it serves as the public ledger of all transactions. The invention of the blockchain for Bitcoin made the first digital currency to solve the double spending problem without the use of a trusted authority or central server. The Bitcoin design has been the inspiration for other applications. So it goes on to talk about how there's blockchain 2, which is another kind of blockchain on top of, you know, the first blockchain, and how you can design or write smart contracts, you know, like for any kind of business. And am I saying that this is for real? It looks like it, you know, but I think it's, of course, it's still in its infancy. It's a little bit like the internet in the early 90s. It had potential, but you never really know for sure. But one thing that I've noticed here in this piece about the blockchain on Wikipedia, it says, each of the big 4 accounting firms is testing blockchain technologies in various formats. Ernst & Young has provided digital wallets to all Swiss employees, has installed a Bitcoin ATM in their office in Switzerland, and accepts Bitcoin as payment for all its consulting services. Marcel Stalder, CEO of Ernst & Young Switzerland, stated, "We don't only want to talk about digitalization, but also actively drive this process together with our employees and our clients. It is important to us that everybody gets on board and prepares themselves for the revolution set to take place in the business world through blockchains, to smart contracts and digital currencies." So, and then it talks about other companies that have gone into this blockchain. It says JP Morgan Chase's Quorum permissionable private blockchain with private store for smart contracts. Talks about, of course, Ethereum is a blockchain with a Turing complete scripting language that enables the processing of smart contracts on the blockchain. So it looks like this is for real. Are the prices that we're seeing for cryptocurrencies justified? I don't know. But they're going to be volatile. You know, we are at its infancy. The ICOs, basically, ICOs are just, ventures trying to capitalize on this rush to cryptocurrencies, basically financing ventures to have their own tokens, a lot of times to finance ventures using, blockchain 2 through Ethereum, for applications for any kind of business, insurance, payments, raising capital for, a project, anything. So, my view is that it's very, very speculative, and it's basically buying a way out of the money option with about, 2 years, let's say, a 2-year term, because usually new businesses, if they're going to work, they will work before, just before 2 years. That's kind of the rule of thumb, I would say. So, and the other thing that buying into these tokens, into these crowd sales, once the ICO comes out, the coins are offered, after the ICO happens and the coins go public, a lot of times these tokens, they go through the roof. That's the first, that's a way to get out of your options, basically. But I would say as well that you never know. The token or the venture or business idea behind the ICO might not do very well after the initial coin offering, but the business might be a good idea and it might really pick up in a year or two. So you never know. So you have, I guess, the option of, if it does really well right after the end of the ICO, you can just maybe sell half of it and keep the rest as an even longer term call option. But what you have to keep in mind is that it's risky. it's almost, you know, it's almost like buying also a lottery ticket, I would say. There's going to be thousands and thousands of, you know, people who are going to try to come up with ideas, new ventures, ICOs, to get in on the action, because there's a lot of money. Some people have been able to raise a lot of capital. So that's what I have to say. The blockchain, cryptocurrencies seem to be something real. The ICOs, different. A lot of ICOs and the companies or tokens that will come out of it will probably be around in 5-10 years time. I would say a lot of them, the majority, are going to disappear and are going to be worthless. Yes, I've been doing I've done about 3 sponsored videos for people who, you know, people who are trying to bring these ICOs or issue these tokens into the crowd, you know, crowd sale. And I'm doing it because I think it's interesting. You know, there are a lot of people out there who are speculators who want to know about these, and that's what I'm providing. I'm trying to be, you know, balanced. I'm giving the pros and cons, and it's up to, you know, to the individual to decide if they want to speculate in it. One thing I wouldn't do is put all my eggs into the ICO basket. I would just put a little bit, maybe in projects or ICOs that I think are interesting, and just leave them there. If they don't amount to anything, nothing, you know, there is something lost, but it's not gonna like affect me. But if 1 out of 10 does really, really well, it will pay for all of it and more. So that's what I wanted to say. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, there's some links below in the description. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.